And for me and Lydia Vasilievna Matsevko-Bekerska, it was very important for us and for Ukraine too. And we are very grateful and to Professor Nonaka-san for organizing these traditional seminars for students from three universities, from Saitama University, Lviv University, and Poltava University. And I wish all participants success, and I hope our seminars will be interesting and very successful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So can I ask Lydia Matveevna слово?
Дорогі колеги, добрий день. Катрусю, ти тут, та? Ти на зв'язку, дякую. Дорогі колеги, вітаю вас із початком чергового нашого циклу зимових вже традиційних семінарів.
Dear colleagues, I would like to congratulate you on the beginning of our fourth cycle of our traditional winter seminars.
З доброї волі і з доброї ласки двох професорів, Ольги Миколаївни Ніколенко і професора Сусуму Нонака-сан, Львівський університет долучився до такої великої і важливої наукової студентської співпраці.
Thanks to the ideas and the initiative of two professors, Susumu Nonaka-san and Olha Nikolenko, Lviv University has also had the opportunity to join these seminars.
За попередні роки ми переконалися, що наукове спілкування студентів надзвичайно потрібне, надзвичайно важливе і корисне для всіх учасників, і для студентів, і для викладачів.
In recent years, we've had the opportunity to make sure that academic communication between students is very interesting and very useful, and not only for students, but also for their teachers.
Упродовж наших семінарів ми зуміли впоратися з викликами пандемії, а тепер наші семінари дають нам велику моральну підтримку і великий духовний фундамент для роботи в час Великої визвольної війни України.
In previous years, we have had to deal with the challenges of the pandemic, and right now our seminars are giving us great spiritual support during the times of war.
Тому ми продовжуємо наше спілкування з великою вдячністю всім тим, хто організовує цей семінар, і всім тим, хто бере в ньому активну участь. І ми бажаємо усім успіху, спокою, безпеки і тиші в наших душах і в наших аудиторіях.
So we are continuing these seminars with a lot of gratitude to those who organized it, with gratitude for the opportunity to participate. We wish you a lot of inspiration and peace in your homes.
Дякую.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia Matveevna. Okay, so today we'll have an ice break session. So maybe we should ask each university to present about, to make a short presentation about your university, right? Okay, so Olga Nikolaevna, maybe can I ask the Poltava University to be fast?
Thank you. I would like to introduce my students and they prepared a short presentation about our university.
Hello, my name is Diane. I'm 17 years old. In the future, I want to be a creative, modern teacher of English and German languages and world literature. Greeting to all participants of the Winter Scientific Seminars. We are so glad to greet the students of Saitama University, Ivan Franko National University of Lviv, and Poltava Nikolenko National Pedagogical University. This presentation is prepared by Marinich Antonina, Darovska Diana, Korkishko Veronika, Bataron Sofia, and Narizhna Marina.
Okay, our faculty is called the Faculty of Ukrainian Philology and Journalism. It has 105 years history. Prominent scientists and linguists of Ukraine work here. Currently, more than 800 students study at the faculty. We deeply study the Ukrainian language, Ukrainian literature, as well as foreign languages, English and German, and world literature. Our faculty trains philologists, journalists, translators, as well as teachers for secondary schools in Ukraine. Children from Poltava schools often come to visit us, and we organize various culture events for them. Pupils are our friends, and then they become students of our faculty.
My name is Veronica. I live in Poltava. I'm getting a secondary education study Ukrainian language and literature. Since childhood, I have dreamed of becoming a Ukrainian language teacher, and I'm very happy that my dream is coming true. I was also lucky enough to take part in the Japan-Ukrainian seminars. Recently, the faculty held a traditional holiday for school children with the participation of the fairy tale character Saint Nicholas. In Ukraine, Saint Nicholas is considered the patron saint of children. For obedient children, he brings gifts and sweets which are called Nikolaychiki. Saint Nicholas is also the patron saint of all those who have the name Nicholas or the father Nicholas. That is why Saint Nicholas is also the patron saint of Professor Olha Mykolaievna.
Hello, my name is Sophia, and I'm a first-year student. I'm a future teacher of English and German language and literature, which I'm currently studying. I'm very happy to take part in these seminars, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to listen and learn about different topics. It's not easy for us to study in this difficult time for Ukraine. Often our classes are interrupted by air raid alarms, and we have to go to the shelter. But we are convinced that education is the key to a successful future, not only for us, but for the whole of Ukraine. Educated people are needed in our country, which has become a candidate for the European Union, which wants to be among civilized nations, which wants to get rid of totalitarian pressures and the Soviet past.
Hello, my name is Tone. I'm from Poltava, and in the future, I would like to be a modern teacher and make children happy, creative, and smart. Ukrainian soldiers are fighting for this on the front line, and we are supporting them in the rear. We all dream of a peaceful Ukraine, but for us, peace and freedom are inseparable. We want our Ukraine to be a free, independent, and sovereign country, and we believe that our dream will come true. So thank you for your attention. That's all.
Thank you so much for the first year students from Poltava. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a wonderful presentation. Yeah. Okay. So now let us Saitama University students talk about themselves. Okay. So I will ask Harumi and Yushi. Yeah. So come in. Okay, so please start.
Okay, hello everyone. I am Harumi. I'm a second grade of Saitama University. First, I will introduce about Saitama University. Saitama University is located in Saitama. Saitama is neighboring prefecture of Japan's capital, Tokyo. So we can easily go to famous cities from Saitama University. For example, Shinjuku and Shibuya can be reached without transfers from the university nearest station. However, it takes about 40 minutes to walk to the nearest station from Saitama University. So it is difficult to say that the university is well located. Saitama University has 5 faculties. There are the Faculty of Liberal Arts, Economics, Education, Science, and Engineering. The Faculty of Liberal Arts, which we belong, is further divided into 5 specializations. I belong to the specialization in American Studies. I study American history, material culture, and so on. I also study education. I'm looking forward to this seminar because in addition to the opportunity to interact with Ukrainian students, and I could listen to your presentation. Let's have a meaningful time together. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you. Very good presentation.
Okay, thanks. And I also want to introduce about Saitama University. I'm Yushi Nakatsuka. I'm interested in the philosophy of politics. From now, I want to introduce Saitama University. And Ms. Goto says that our university has 5 faculties: science, engineering, economics, education, and liberal arts. And I belong in liberal arts. So I want to explain about the liberal arts. At the Faculty of Liberal Arts, we can know many kinds of academic discipline, field of research. These 5 faculties are located on one campus, so I can know the other classes, or for example, education classes, economic classes, we can know, but I want to introduce the characteristic of liberal arts faculty. For example, last week I studied international politics and international law, and the Japanese art or Chinese art, European philosophy, Chinese culture, architecture in Europe, and literary criticism. I began to read Japanese literature and European literature because of attending the class of the literary criticism. So I can absolutely say that these lectures at the Faculty of Liberal Arts are very interesting, and for me and for you. And I want to know Ukrainian literatures and cultures and history through this seminar. So I'm looking forward to talking with you in this seminar. Thank you for listening.
Thank you,
Great
Harumi.
presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Harumi and Yushi. Okay, so now, last but not least, may I ask Lviv National University students to talk about your traditional university.
Yes, sure. Hello, everyone. Do you see the screen?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So, hello again. My name is Maria, and I'm the student of the Faculty of Foreign Languages of Lviv National University. So, I will tell you about some interesting facts and some important information about our university. So, the university was founded in 1661 and it became a national university in 1999 and is one of the oldest universities in Eastern Europe. Our university is famous for being a modernized classical educational institution with a world rating, a wide range of educational programs. Here are studying more than 25,000 students. International cooperation is really diverse, rich scientific life, many opportunities for self-development, and also it consists of 19 faculties, 1 college, and the branch in Cherkasy. Moreover, there are 7 research institutions which students can use for their development of their specialists. Also, we have botanic garden with thousands of different plants, and it is really beautiful, especially in spring and summer. Scientific library, which is even older than the university itself. So we are really proud of it. Also, our university is an alma mater for different people who contributed a lot to the history and to the culture of Ukraine. So it is Mikhailo Hrushevsky, who was a Ukrainian historic, public, and political figure. Also, Ukrainian musicians, director, ministers, the journalists, actors, colonel of the UNA army, and the first head of the OUN. So the graduates are pretty diverse, and they were and they are pretty much famous and important figures in our history. University has concluded more than 90 agreements with other universities from 33 countries. And this is really on now because we try to communicate and to cooperate with different students organizations and with different universities in order to make our students have these opportunities for their own development. Also, we have different charity projects. So it is charity fair, football competitions, charity events where we can have legal auction for various an exhibition of paintings by Max Wittek, and you can see some of their paintings on the background. So our university is pretty proud of having this place for conducting different charity events and to help our army and our defenders to have the important things they need to like defend our country on a daily basis. Also, I would like to mention about our faculty of foreign languages. That is one of the biggest faculties of the university. We have here more than 2,000 students. We learn different languages: English, Spanish, German, French, Latin, Greek, and why not? And also academic mobility is pretty diverse. Students' organizations are working for developing and for helping students when they need something and when they have some questions. Also, a great variety of job opportunities during and after graduation. It's important to emphasize that it's really a harsh war nowadays, and our students and our teachers became a part of the armed forces in order to defend us and to defend future generations. And you can see just a small amount of pictures of them, but unfortunately, the situation is becoming even harsher and even more complicated, but we should do anything we can in order not to make these sacrifices in vain. And also, we provide humanitarian aid from Lviv University. And at the beginning of the full-scale war, there were humanitarian aid for Lviv University. And our students were provided with everything they needed. And we are one big family, and we stand for the victory of Ukraine. We stand for thousands of children and thousands of citizens of Ukraine who fight for the victory and for our better future on a daily basis. So thank you very much for your attention, and see you in Ukraine. See you at Lviv University.
Thank you very much, Maria. You showed the splendid slides, and you showed how you are helping your nations and your friends. Thank you very much. Okay, so I hope you will have more time to mix up in the future. But today we have two mini lectures, two short lectures from Professor Nikolenko and from me. So Olga Nikolaevna, after you, please, could you please start?
Thank you. I would like to tell you about the images of Ukraine and Ukrainians in the story Taras Bulba by Mykola Gogol. The theme of Ukraine and the Ukrainian Cossack Dome is one of the main themes in the work of Mykola Gogol. The next slide. For him, this theme was very important in the context of his family. It is known that Gogol's ancestors on his mother's side were Cossacks. And the next, and you can see the parents of Mykola Gogol and the house of Gogol. For example, the writer's distant ancestor Ostap Gogol was a hetman of the right bank Ukraine at the beginning of the 17th century. However, the subject of Ukraine also interested Gogol as a historian and artist. In the early 1830s, Gogol was deeply researching the history of Europe in the Middle Ages and wrote several historical articles. In particular, he wrote a lot about medieval knights. The next slide. And the next. Who are knights? This concept originated in Western Europe in the Middle Ages, especially in the 11th to 13th centuries. Knights participated in military campaigns, fought in combat tournaments, and joined religious and military associations. At that time, the countries of Western Europe developed a chivalry code, certain rules of morality and behavior for knights. The leading ideas of the chivalry code were courage, honor, defending Christian faith, protecting the poor and the disadvantaged, trustworthiness, dignity, etc. The knights also served their beloved ladies, for whom they performed feats, won battles, and composed poems and songs. The next. In one of his articles, Gogol compared Ukrainian Cossacks to the knights of Western Europe. The Cossacks appeared at the beginning of the 14th century, if not at the end of the 13th century, at a time when the zeal for religion had not yet cooled in Western Europe, when military brotherhoods and orders were formed almost everywhere without hindrance. The next. The Zaporizhian siege was a fortified center of the Zaporizhian army in the second half of the 16th to 18th centuries, located beyond the Dnipro River. The Ukrainian Cossacks had their own code of honor, just like the knights of medieval Europe. Above all else, the Cossacks valued freedom, Christian faith, justice, honesty, loyalty to their comrades, and the ideals of the Zaporizhian siege. The images of Ukrainian Cossacks as strong, brave, loyal, purposeful, and friendly people are sung in Ukrainian folklore and art. The rulers of that time often used the military skills of Ukrainian Cossacks to protect the state borders. However, the freedom-loving and independent nature of the Ukrainian Cossacks posed a danger to the rulers. That's why the Zaporizhian siege was destroyed by the Russian Empire. It happened in 1775, when Empress Catherine II issued a manifesto of the liquidation of the Zaporizhian siege and its incorporation into the Novo-Russian province. On the order of Catherine II, the last hetman of the Zaporizhian siege, Petro Kalnyshevsky, was arrested and sent to prison in the Solovki monastery, where he was held for 25 years. After Catherine II's manifesto, the Cossacks settled in different lands. By the way, there are also ancient Cossack settlements in Poltava region, and some of them fled across the Danube, where the Zadunayska siege was formed. On this theme, Ukrainian composer Gulag Artemovsky wrote the famous opera Zaporozhets Beyond the Danube, 1863. It is about Ukrainian Cossacks who found themselves in a foreign land, longing for their homeland. But back to Gogol. In the early 19th century, Gogol emphasized the need to create a complete, satisfactory history of a people who had been acting independently of Russia for almost 4 centuries. Therefore, 60 years after Catherine II's manifesto, the writer set out to revive the name of Zaporizhian Sich in fiction, as well as its glorious history, and to poetically glorify the deeds of the Ukrainian Cossacks. The story Taras Bulba, first edition 1835, was devoted to this. It is interesting that the word Ukraine in the original Ukraina appears 7 times in the text of Taras Bulba. In the times of the Ukrainian Cossacks, according to Gogol, everything was different, nature was more beautiful, characters were more powerful, and the history of Zaporizhian Sich was brighter compared to the author's time, 60 years after the manifesto of Catherine II, which destroyed the Cossacks. In the first edition of the story Taras Bulba in 1835, one can feel the author's deep nostalgia for the heroic past and admiration for the glorious history of Ukrainian Cossacks. Mykola Gogol put the historical path of the Ukrainian people into the broader context of European history. The writer portrays Ukraine as a special historical and geographical entity, as a land in need of protection. So, the Zaporizhian Sich is depicted as its organic part, a military school designed to educate Cossacks for the defense of Ukraine. As the story progresses, the concepts of Zaporizhian Sich and Ukraine become inseparable from each other. They both have a heroic meaning. The Zaporizhian Sich is depicted by the author as a stronghold of Cossack freedom for the whole of Ukraine. Gogol wrote, and there it was the siege. There was the lair from whence all those men proud and strong as lions issued forth. There was the spot whence fought forth liberty and Cossacks all over the Ukraine. Ukraine in Mykola Gogol's novel is not only a wild land that the Cossacks defend from enemy attacks. It is also a place where the Ukrainian nation was formed, and Zaporizhian Sich became the center of this national process. In Taras Bulba, history is presented in vivid characters, strong feelings, and aspirations of the Cossacks. The main idea of the work is the idea of a common cause, the defense of the Cossacks' faith in Christ and the ideals of the Zaporizhian Sich. For this purpose, the Cossacks don't spare themselves. They leave their family and prosperous lives and boldly rush into great battles. Their idea of a common cause gradually unites the Cossacks into a single entity, cementing different characters into a single whole. The history of Ukraine in Gogol's work appears as a majestic, heroic epic, but at the same time as a domestic story, the private history of Taras Bulba's family, which is part of the general history of Cossacks. The story begins with the old Cossack Taras Bulba waiting for his sons Ostap and Andrei to arrive. The sons were studying at the Kiev Mohyla Academy. The father dreamed that they would become good Cossacks and serve the Zaporizhian siege faithfully. Taras Bulba took his sons to the siege to defend Ukrainian lands like other Cossacks, but the sons had different personalities and different fates. In his portrayal of the Cossacks, Gogol constantly uses the words knights, knightly honor, and knightly glory. When Ostap and Andrei are packing to go to the siege, Taras Bulba tells their mother, "Pray God that they may fight bravely. Always defend their knightly honor. Always defend the faith of Christ. And if not, that they may die, so that their breath may not be longer in the world." For Taras Bulba, the main thing is knightly honor, which is the defense of the faith of Christ and the Zaporizhian siege. He himself is a guardian of the knightly honor and teaches this not only to his sons, but also to other Cossacks. For Taras Bulba, the leader of the Ukrainian Cossacks, there is no middle ground. One must either fight for knightly honor or die in a fair battle. This is how he raised his sons. Ostap always imitates his father and remains faithful to the ideals of the Zaporizhian siege as a true Ukrainian Cossack until the last minute of his life. Ostap was captured by enemies during a fierce battle, but he bore the suffering in captivity like a giant, with unprecedented firmness. He bravely accepts execution, sacrificing his life for the sake of freedom and Cossack brotherhood. Ostap's death in the novel resembles the execution of Jesus Christ. In Gogol's story, Andrei is also portrayed as a knight, but in the European rather than Ukrainian tradition. As you know, the entire medieval culture was imbued with the cult of woman. In his article on the Middle Ages, Gogol wrote, "The woman of the Middle Ages is a deity. Tournaments are organized for her sake, spears are broken for her sake, her pink or blue ribbon flutters on helmets and armor and gives extraordinary strength." Like the European knights of the Middle Ages, Andrei serves a beautiful lady, a beautiful Polish girl. He accidentally saw a Polish girl and fell deeply in love with her. For her sake, he is ready to abandon his father, mother, comrades, and homeland. Perceiving a beautiful woman as a deity, Andrei is ready to throw everything at her feet. Andrei did not give up on God, because for him love is a manifestation of divine love. However, when he crossed into the enemy camp, Andrei betrayed the Zaporizhian siege and his comrades, which contradicts the Cossack code of honor. Andrei was a Christian and a knight, but a knight who acted in the name of a woman, not in the name of a common cause, knightly honor. Therefore, Taras Bulba had no choice but to kill Andrei according to the epic tradition and in accordance with the code of honor of the Ukrainian Cossacks. Before killing his son, Taras Bulba told him, "To think that you should be thought a traitor, that you should betray your fate, betray your comrades. I gave you life, I will also kill you. Stand still, don't move, and don't ask God for absolution. There is no forgiveness for such a thing in the next world. Andrei's thing is not a common cause. It is his private thing, which led to his betrayal of the common cause. That's why he is gone as a knight in Taras Bulba's eyes. Is he not a true Cossack? He is fallen. Fallen without glory, like a wild dog, because only a common cause can bring glory to a Cossack. The author does not poetize Taras Bulba's deed in the scene of Andrei's murder. Moreover, the author calls Taras Bulba a son killer. The son killer stopped and reflected for a couple of minutes whether he should fling him to the wolves for prey or respect in him the bravery which every brave man is bound to honor in another. Meanwhile, Ostap came, and his words contain a reproach to his father. Father, what have you done? Was it you who killed him? Ostap rushed to embrace his brother, comrade, and companion, and then they took the body, carried it to the Chad forest, dug a hole with sabers and spears, and buried it. Only thanks to Ostap, Andrei was buried, even without the honors defeating a Cossack. From the viewpoint of private human story, Taras Bulba's act is certainly a sin. That's why the author calls him a son killer. But from the viewpoint of a heroic epic, it is a natural and proper act of a true knight who cannot forgive the betrayal of the Cossacks' common cause. The finale of the story describes the heroic death of Taras, and moral superiority is on the side of Taras Bulba. Captured by enemies, he accepts martyrdom, but to the end he remains faithful to the common cause. He tells the Cossacks from the height of the cliff where he was executed how they can better avoid danger. It is Taras who has the last look at the Cossacks, who managed to save themselves and will continue the common cause. And the final lines of the story are also dedicated to Taras Bulba. Damn it. Is there anything in the world that a Cossack would be afraid of? The Dniester is not a small river, and when the wind comes from the sea, the rampart whips up to the moon. The Cossacks sailed under bullets and shots, cautiously passed green islands, straightened the sail, struck their oars in a friendly and measured manner, and talked about their hetman. In this ending, the author has created a collective images of the Cossacks. They strengthened the sail. A sail is a symbol of a firm footing on the stormy sea of life, struck their oars in a friendly and measured manner as one organism, and talked about their hetman. That is, they followed Taras Bulba's pledge to the common cause. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Nikolenko. Okay, so we have some minutes. Anyone, do you have any questions and comments? Please, please show up and speak.
That was a great presentation, Miss Nikolenko. And I was wondering, Have you watched the movie before you did the presentation?
There are many films about Taras Bulba by Google, and I saw the old film and the new film about Taras Bulba. But I think these movies is not true, and they contain some ideas of the creators of these movies. And I think the work by Google is more deep. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexei.
Thank you.
And others?
Thank you for Professor Nikolenko for the interesting presentation. I found Taras shows the spirit of self-sacrifice is to extend similar to the samurai spirit in Japan. That's my comment. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, I agree with you, and we can compare Taras with samurais. Thank you. And all Ukrainian Cossacks have some features like samurais. Thank you.
Okay, so perhaps, Maria, please.
Yeah, I would like to thank you a lot, Olga Nikolenko, for this impressive presentation and for the information you presented it. And I have a question. Do you think if Gogol had developed the idea of the myth of Cossacks in this piece of literature?
Thank you so much for your question. We have two versions of the story Taras Bulba. The first version is 1835, and the second version is 1842. And they illustrated us the development of this idea. And I think the second version is more complicated. And I think Gogol thought about the ideals of Ukrainian Cossacks, which he wanted to bring to modern society. But the first version is about epic tradition, and I think about this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Perhaps one more question or comment?
Yeah, I have a question. Yeah, thanks for introducing the Taras Bulba. And I also think the relation between the Japanese samurai and the Ukrainian Cossacks. In my country, many Japanese people regard Japanese samurai as the symbol of loyalty or honesty. But I hear you are explaining that does Ukrainian people regard Ukrainian Cossack as the symbol of freedom or not? Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Olha,
this
yes.
is clear? Yeah. So
yes. Thank you for your comments. Yes, and thank you for your interesting idea. And I agree with you we consider Ukrainian Cossacks as a symbol of freedom, and because they fight freedom and they fight faith of Christ and others ideas of Zaporizhian siege. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you for telling us special introduction, Taras Priva and Ukrainian Cossack. In Western Europe, what will be change normal army or erasing existence when spend more time? But Ukrainian will continue by when modern time. When you please tell me the reason continue to be Cossack was not spread as opinion of professor.
Запорізька Січ, Запорізька Січ in compare of European orders and associations. Excuse me?
Excuse me, pardon me?
Oh, yes. I think we have technical problems with sounds. Yes? Okay. I think Zaporizhka Sich was organized later in compare with European associations, but it was a army organization, and I think this organization is strong, very strong, and because Ukrainian Cossacks defend their borders, and during the more than 4 centuries, and that's why Gogol was true when he compared the European organizations and Ukrainian Zaporizhian siege. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Danji. Yeah, I'm very glad that Saitama students are very active this year. So let me let me start my lecture. Okay. Do you hear me, Olya? Okay.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Very good.
Okay. My topic is what is a national writer on Yasunari Kawabata, focusing on thousand cranes, in Japanese, Senbazuru. Subject and themes of today's my talk. Subject Yasunari Kawabata and his literature focusing on his novel thousand cranes. Yeah. And themes, what is a national writer? What is she or he expected to create? And what conditions does she or he have to meet to be regarded national? Why do we need a national writer? Who is Kawabata? He was born in Osaka in 1899, and his parents died when he was 2 years old. So he made very much use of literary motif of orphanhood. And in his younger days, he was regarded as a writer of neo-sensualism. Neo-sensualism is a kind of modernism writing which aimed at defamiliarizing descriptions of reality by way of making a new combination of subjectivity and objectivity. It's somewhat near to the European modernism. And Kawabata's most famous works before World War II is, for example, a short story, Dancer in Izu, in Japanese, Izu no Odoriko, 1926, or a series of short stories, Snow Country, in Japanese, Yukiguni, 1937. And those works have been repeatedly made into movies and TV dramas. So many Japanese know the plots of these works. After the World War II, Kawabata wrote some works focused on Japanese traditional beauty, which are the main reason for his being awarded the Nobel Prize in 1968. Thousand Cranes, or The Sound of the Mountain, or The Old Capital. And but he has another central theme. It's sexuality. And for example, his novella House of Sleeping Beauties had made a sensation because he wrote about the sexuality of old men. And he finally he committed a suicide in 1970. Kawabata committed a suicide in 1972. They say he suffered from depression and addiction to sleeping pills. And these are photos of Kawabata. In the left photo is he was young, maybe in 20s or 30s. And the right side of photo is when he was old. This is a very typical Japanese traditional intellectuals as how they lived. A combination of Japanese way of living and European electricity and something. And let me talk about important features of Kawabata's literary works. The first, depiction of people. People means folk people. For example, farmers or poor workers. And the second feature is a theme of war. And as he never served on the front, so he often depicted women and the children. And the third theme is a theme of traditional beauty. Traditional motifs such as tea ceremony or no masks. No is a traditional Japanese theater. And Kyoto's life and culture. So why? Let me stop on the first feature, depiction of people. Why was it important to depict how poor people live? It has something to do with the problem of modernization. Because modernization, poor people, for example, farmers or poor workers had less chances to reap the benefits of modernization as material well-being, education, or enlightenment than the upper social classes. But the people actually form a large part of the nation. Gaps between classes, the rich and the poor, educated and uneducated, should be relieved to achieve successful nation building. National literature is required to depict how people are living and how upper classes should be united with them toward the goal of becoming a fully-fledged nation. So one can see that young Kawabata consciously chose such a theme in works as Dancer in Izu and Snow Country. In Dancer in Izu, the hero is a university student who has an inferiority complex about his orphanhood, like Kawabata himself. He was traveling alone in the countryside called Izu, where he by chance became close with a small theater company who were traveling. And the kindness and innocence of uneducated actors and actresses, especially a young girl whom he particularly liked, soothed his heart so that he regained confidence and parted with them to go back to Tokyo to continue his studies. This short story is one of Kawabata's most famous works. It was made into movies and TV dramas many times and gave him nationwide popularity. In my opinion, it is a plot model. An intelligent individual meets the people and learns something very important, which helped to make this short story a work of national literature. Okay, maybe now I talk about the theme of war. Kawabata did not serve in World War II, so he didn't depict frontline battles or air raids or on cities themselves. But the theme of the war played a crucial role in his literary creation. For example, he often described war widows. In the novel, The Sound of the Mountain, in Japanese, Yama no Oto, a war widow having an affair with the heroine's husband says that if they should give her back her killed husband, she also would return a man to his wife. The more important subject with the theme of the war is a connection with the dead. In the short story, Sazanka, Kawabata thought about children who had not been born because of the war and concluded, I quote, "While pitying them and my own life, which flowed away during the war, I wondered if they might be reborn into something someday." In Thousand Cranes, this theme is given a somewhat different expression in the hero's reflection. I quote, "Perhaps you might be mistaken if you worry about the dead people too much. The dead do not impose morals on the living." Okay, now okay, so in the novels written after the war, Kawabata often made use of traditional motifs such as the tea ceremony, no mask, the Kyoto culture, as I said before, maybe because he wanted to show that Japan had still had something to save despite the huge damage of the war. On the other hand, Kawabata also depicts new social trends in Japan after the war in a rather positive way. For example, in the novel Day and Moon, the hero, an old man who lost his two sons during the war, heard the news that some students tried to hand over political appeal to the emperor himself when he visited the University of Kyoto. And the hero, old man, had the impression that it was not something else's problem. A new attitude toward the emperor as a human being, but not a living god, was one of the most important cultural and social changes after the war, which both the hero and Kawabata himself accepted calmly and positively. Okay, so now these are the traditional teacups of Japan. I hope you like it. They are beautiful. And now I will talk about the novella Thousand Cranes, Senbazu. The main plot, Kikuji, a young man in his mid-20s from a wealthy family, met an ex-lover of his late father's, Madame Ota, on a traditional ceremony by chance, and had a love affair with her that evening. His relations with her and her daughter Fumiko are fateful and tragic. And this work has several motifs. For example, motif of sexual love and traditional culture. When Kikuji looked at two tea bowls his father and his lover used, he had an impression. I quote, "Forms of the bowls 300 or 400 years old are healthy and do not induce any delusions. They are full of life and even sensual." Looking at the two bowls, Kikuji remembered his father and Fumiko's mother, and felt as if he saw beautiful figures of their souls side by side. So this analogy or metaphor of the soul and traditional tea bowls. And the second motif is a motif of a double, but I won't talk about it very much. But it reminds you maybe Gogol's short story Notes, for example. And the third topic is reconciliation with the dead. In my opinion, it is reconciliation, not confrontation with the dead people, which Kawabata wanted to emphasize in the novel and other works written after the war. The thing is, Japanese had to make a reconciliation with the dead after the war. It was necessary for them, or for us, to get a relief from their suffering and to start a new life again. Kawabata's works portrayed survivors' grief for the dead and wishes for a new life, which was shared by many readers of the time. So now, conclusion. National literature has several important tasks. For example, to create an artistic image of nation building. For example, how the nation of Japanese are made, or how Ukrainian nation has been made, or something. Transburiba maybe is a kind of this type of national literature. And the second task is to create a figure of reconciliation and harmony between the living and the dead, who fought to protect the nation against great disasters. Kawabata became a Japanese national writer in that he tackled the second task in some novels, such as Thousand Cranes and Sound of the Mountain, which were popularized in multiple media, film, TV dramas. Yeah. So that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the great presentation, Nonaka-san. What was your favorite novel to read from this author?
Kawabata?
Yes.
Yeah. Many people praise the Sound of a Mountain, the the novel. But I love Dancer in Ease. Dancer in Ease, it's a short story which Kawabata wrote in his younger days, in 20s maybe. And it's a very short story, but it's easy to read and beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Professor Nonaka, for such an informative presentation. And can you discuss any notable cross-cultural influence, like influence or inspiration from other cultures that shaped Kawabata's writing? Maybe it can be seen some influence.
Influenced on to Kawabata, yeah?
Yes,
yeah,
from other cultures.
Modern Japanese literature has had great influences from various literature, especially European literature. For example, I talked about Gogol. Yeah, Gogol was popular in among Japanese literature. So it's very worth to speculate how European literature and Ukrainian literature influenced the Japanese one. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation, Professor Susumu Nonaka-san. And could you tell me what maybe motives or themes of Kawabata's work is of the most interest for you personally?
Could you please repeat what was Kawabata?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So, what themes of Kawabata's work are of the most interest for you?
I see. Well, here is his topic. For example, as I talked about the war, he stressed the theme of reconciliation of between the living and the dead. That was very important for Japanese readers after the World War II. Or sexuality. He was very much interested in the sexuality in somewhat abnormal ways. So he wrote actually a lot of works about little odd sexuality. That combination is very intriguing and interesting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. And I want to ask, are there any modern writers that follow the style of Kawabata and explore similar themes in their writings?
That is a very interesting question, I think. For example, sexuality has play a big role in modern Japanese literature. For example, the second Nobel Prize writer Kenzaburo Oe also depicted many sexual motifs in a rather strange way. And maybe Haruki Murakami is famous in Ukrainian too. And he also wrote about many sexual themes. That is interesting. Why in Japanese, modern Japanese literature, sexual theme is so important? Maybe it's a little bit characteristic of our literature. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Yuhei Nakaigawa. Is there any reason that neo-sensualism was common when Kawabata lived?
Common between.
There any reason that neo-sensualism was common when Kawabata lived?
Neo-sensualism is in Japanese Shinkankakuha. Some writers tried in 1930s tried find a new expression of reality in the way of combining subjectivity and objectivity. And I think that the trend of world literature in 1920s, 30s, in many countries, lot of writers try to make a new expression, yeah, of their feelings, of their reality. And Kawabata also wrote, tried to write such works. Okay.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much, Professor Nonaka Sensei, for a meaningful presentation. Thank you for highlighting all the points, all the motives and themes that was mentioned in Yasunari Kawabata's work. You stopped more to talk about depiction of the people and the description of the war in the works, but also you mentioned that the traditions meant a lot in the Yasunari Kawabata's works. So my question is, what does traditions means to you, and why is it so important to follow the old traditions? And what is more important for you, to follow the old traditions or to make new?
To me. To me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah, for him, I could, of course, I can explain why he chose, made much use of the topic of tradition. Because after the war, Japan lost many things. And Kawabata thought that the significance of our tradition and the traditional beauty. So he depicted a lot of about Japanese traditional beauty. That was his choice. And for us, to a modern contemporary Japanese Japanese, what significance means? What what significance does the tradition mean? Perhaps can I ask students, our students help me? So
Traditional English.
yeah, traditional. What is traditional for you? What is tradition, Japanese?
Yeah, in my opinion, that the traditional is one of my identity. So I'm a Japanese. I'm not only a human. So people is Japanese. People must or will understand I'm Japanese because of accepting traditional culture or traditional Japanese history. So if we were the modern people and understand the individual identity of nation, we must focus on the tradition. That is my opinion.
Yeah, thank you, Yushi. Yeah, you made a good point about combination of tradition and nation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So
thank you so much for your great presentation. I personally have heard that his work is really difficult to understand. And are there any of his works that are easiest to understand for foreign people?
Kawabata, yeah?
Yes.
Kawabata's work, as he received a Nobel Prize, so a lot of works were translated. I was surprised to know that Thousand Cranes is used in textbook, in Ukrainian textbook of world literature, which Olga Nikolaevna yeah, edited. Yeah. So can I ask Olga Nikolaevna about impressions of students about Kawabata? Is he difficult to Ukrainian students to understand?
I think our students love Kawabata, and this work by Kawabata is started in the 11th grade. But our students don't understand why there is many sad people in Kawabata's work. And what do you think about? Is Kawabata a sad writer?
Sad writer. Sad, you mean?
Sad.
Picturing.
Yes,
yeah, perhaps, yeah, he doesn't have laughter such as like Google.
Почему так много печали?
Yeah, I understood. That is a characteristic of the modern Japanese literature too. We don't have many laughter, comical elements like Gogol. Maybe Olga, you remember the Japanese students' responses to your lecture on Gogol. And Gogol made like a Revisor, Grand Inquisitor, has a lot of comical elements. But Japanese traditional theater didn't have a comical element, not so much. Yeah. Perhaps perhaps it's a interesting national characteristics if we compare Ukrainian people and Japanese people, maybe. Okay.
It's very interesting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Your lecture, you mentioned that after the World War, he began to focus on the beauty of Japanese tradition. So I want to ask, how do you think the war affect Kawabata's mind? Does mind? How do you think the war affect his mind?
Well, yeah, it's a very difficult question. It's lots of Japanese writers and intellectual people had the same problem after the war. Before the war, they believed that they were one of the main big powers in the world. Yeah? So our ancestors started a war with United States, but we defeated. We were defeated. So then Kawabata and many Japanese writers and philosophers again thought what should be our principle to start a new life, for example. So Kawabata's answer is tradition or traditional beauty. Yeah, like so that was his answer.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, konbanwa. I'm Renata, and thanks for such a great presentation and your responses. And I have a question for you. And what does the crane symbolize in Japan?
What is the crane? Yeah, symbolize in Japan? Oh, yeah, it's a very splendid question. Maybe students, our students would like to answer.
Yeah, what is it?
What Ukrainian symbolize in Japan now?
As a symbol of Japan?
No.
Ukrainian symbol. Crane. A crane.
Renata, could you please repeat your question? What
does the crane,
crane,
like an animal?
Bird. Okay. So, I misunderstood. Yeah. So please answer, anyone?
Yeah.
I want to answer if we see the bird of crane, we emerge the beautiful because the bird of crane is the color of white. So white means there is a one of the great, beautiful exist. So if we regard the plane of the bird art, the beautiful of Japanese tradition. That is my answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, crane is a national bird of Japan. Yeah. So. Okay, so thank you very much for so many questions. I'm surprised. Yeah, thank you. I was very impressed. So maybe can I ask Professor Maciejko Piekielska to make comments to our lectures, Olga Nikolaevna and me.
Дякую, шановний Сусумо-сан. Обидві лекції практично стосуються однієї і тієї ж проблеми. Яким чином людина і нація мають втриматися в гармонії із історичним і суспільним розвитком?
Yes, thank you, Professor Nonaka-san. And I would like to say that the two lectures we heard today basically deal with similar topics, how an individual and a nation can be in harmony with society and with history.
Якщо Гоголь втілює ідею України, великої, незламної України, яка бореться, Ольга Миколаївна це переконливо показала в своїй сьогоднішній доповіді.
Gogol spoke about the image of undefeated Ukraine that is fighting against all the odds and all the enemy forces.
Тематика і проблематика творчості Кавабати нам близька своєю глибиною, своїми філософськими проблемами і новим розумінням літературного модернізму.
And Kawabata's work is close to us because of its depth, because of the philosophical problems that he discusses, and because of the new understanding of the literature of modernism.
Тому дякуємо вам за змістовні доповіді і матеріал для наших роздумів і нашого аналізу. Спасибі.
So I would like to thank you for very deep lectures and for giving us food for thought. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Olga, do you have any comments about today's session?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Professor Susumu Nonaka and to Lydia Vasilyevna. And I think that the crane is a national symbol in Ukraine too. And in Ukraine, this symbol, in Ukraine, the crane is the symbol of beauty, purity, and well-being. And it is great that we have many similar features in our national cultures. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much. So now we are almost running out of time. So let me talk about the next session. Okay, Olya? Okay. Okay. So
yes,
our
okay.
next session, next meeting will be on January 9th next year. And January 9th, and two presenters from Poltava and one presenter from Lviv and one from Saitama, okay? And each presenter will have 15 minutes, okay? So please make your text and slides. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm saying goodbye, but surprising that this year is coming to an end. So let me wish you all Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, which will be hopefully more peaceful and glorious for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and I'm very grateful to Professor Nonaka for organizing this meeting, and I wish you all good things, and I wish all good things to all participants of our seminars. Thank you so much.
So bye-bye. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you for letting us
Thank
join.
you so much. Goodbye.
Nice.
Thank you.
for letting us join.
Nice.
Thank you.